Have you ever had to endure a painful wedding speech by an overconfident best man or a terrified bridesmaid and thought, there must be a better way than A, listing off story after inappropriate story, B, relying on tired, sexist or clichéd jokes, or C, just winging it? You're absolutely spot on. We can do better. Today I'm joined by Sydney Shanahan, wedding writer, editor and founder of Alter and Toast, who reveals why pushing past the first draft, using speech cards and refraining from roasting the newlyweds can absolutely transform wedding party speeches. Sydney shares her expert tips on how even the most nervous speakers can centre themselves, truly connect, and give engaging toasts that captivate every guest without the shock tactics, and how to use stories to illustrate the character or qualities of the couple so it doesn't feel like a trial by pointless anecdotes and in-jokes. If you want your wedding party speeches to stand out for all the right reasons, or if you've been asked to give a speech for a friend or family member, you won't want to miss this conversation. This one's for you. And make sure you stay listening to the end to find out how to get a copy of Sydney's practical guide to banishing the nerves before your very own big speech moment. Let's get stuck into it. Unbridely is a community of pro-wedding vendors who believe in freedom and integrity in weddings, giving you options, solutions, tips and tricks to create the experience and memories that you and your fiancé really want and deserve. Because we believe that weddings are a team sport. With how-tos, stories and interviews with recently married couples, we find out what went right and what they'd change if they could go back and do it all over again. I'm Camille and welcome to the Unbridely podcast. Hello, Sydney. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. How are you?
Hello, I'm really well, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. How are you?
I'm doing really well. We were just having a little chat before we jumped on about how strange and wonderful the previous wedding season has been. And, oh, man, we could talk forever. But it's enough about me. What about yourself, Sydney? Could you please share with our listeners who you are and what you do and why you sound like the Queen?
Do you think I do? Oh, dear.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yes. I can really hand that up if
Tea and cucumber sandwiches. No. Yes.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sydney. I run a company called Alter and Toast, and I'm a wedding writer. So I write wedding speeches, wedding vows, bespoke ceremony readings, love letters, any of the words that a couple might need for their wedding day. And as Camille has kindly alluded to, I am based in the UK, not in London, but not too far from London. So if I've got a funny accent for you all, I'm very sorry.
No, it's not funny. It's delightful. It's delightful, Sydney.
Frightful.
Fabulous. So, writing stuff, how did you get into this? It's quite niche.
It really is.
Can you share how you found yourself in this wonderful world?
Yeah, of course. So I, like so many wedding vendors these days, got married. I got married at the start of last year. Fell in love with weddings, obviously, but also fell in love with wedding suppliers. I think I'd never really worked with small businesses or with business owners directly. And I really enjoyed getting to know often women, but all of the business owners that we worked with. And I think as I was coming to the end of wedding planning, I was aware that I wouldn't be fully ready to leave the wedding world. And so for the sake of not having another wedding, although, could never say never, much to my lovely husband's dismay.
Yeah. Can he hear you now?
No, he's out. We're fine. We're fine. And there's no way he'll be listening to this. He'll be fine. Bless him. He really doesn't deserve all this. So I was coming to the end of wedding planning and I knew I wasn't going to be fully ready to leave it entirely. So I started to have a think about what I could do to stay connected to it, whether that was for a short kind of period or in like the long term. And as it happened, after the wedding, one of our wedding videos went all over the internet. It was seen by something like 7 million people.
Hello.
And it was a video where, yeah, I know, right? Not the plan at all. But I left my husband a voice note just before I came kind of down the aisle. And the video was of him hearing it, in front of everybody and getting very emotional and everybody laughing and having a really good time and a really sentimental moment for us. And then it was seen by 7 million people. And I started to get messages from other brides saying, I would like to do this. Can I just steal what you said? And my answer is always no. You can't just kind of steal what I said because it was written for my husband. However, if you want, I can help you work out what you might like to say instead. And so I did a few of those. And then from there, it was, oh, well, could you help me do my wedding vows as well? Yes, of course. And over the course of the last year and a bit, it has now grown into a proper business. We do, last year we did just under 60 weddings. And that ranges from helping with every wordy aspect of a day to just doing a love letter or a kind of thank you card or something like that for somebody. But I have absolutely loved it. The wedding community is such a wonderful, loving place to be. And I like to think I am here for the long haul, hopefully.
Yeah. Well, you're talking the talk, Sydney, I've got to say.
I better have some really good advice now.
Can I share that video that we've got of you coming down the aisle?
Of course, yeah.
The bit where your voice note plays?
Yeah, I'll send it over to you afterwards.
Okay, great.
I cry whenever I watch it, but I would do so.
Yeah, I want to share it with everyone because I have looked at it and it's really emotional. I think it's in the way you deliver it. It's in those pauses and things like that. But which, we'll get to later because words are one thing, right? And how you deliver it's something completely different.
Two completely separate art forms.
Do you coach people?
I do.
Oh, that's so good.
I do. Particularly when it comes to speeches, actually, because so often I get people come to me and ask for help writing a speech and I will have a Zoom call with them and we'll, kind of get to know each other. And the nerves underneath that feeling of, I don't know what to write, they're so much bigger when they're magnified with the idea of actually saying them. So yes, I both write the speeches, but I do also offer speech delivery coaching.
That's brilliant. That's really smart. Okay. So let's right from the top, Sydney, what are the worst things? What are the things that people are constantly getting wrong? What are the common pitfalls? And what we wanted to speak about today, because we've had a little bit of an email back and forth, haven't we? And what I'm finding, there's, bride speech, there's groom speech and, father of the bride and a few other ones. But the ones that I find that really go off the rails, that seem to have no freaking concept of what they're meant to be doing, are those people in the wedding party who get asked, your maid of honour, matron of honour, whatever, bridesmaids, groomsmen, groomspeople, all those people, best man, for fuck's sake. So right from the start, could you share what have you seen gone really wrong?
So I get sent a lot of first drafts. Now, you don't have to have a first draft to work with me, but I will say the ones I've seen are interesting to kind of say the least. And I think when you see clips online of speeches gone wrong or speeches that are either really boring or are offensive or just aren't landing the way that you would want them to, it's usually because somebody has started with a first draft and gone, great, sorted, done. I don't need to do any more work on this. I've nailed it first time, guys. I can confirm nobody's first draft is ever the finished version, okay? I can't do a first draft and it just be done. You need to edit it. You need to tweak it. You might want to get a second opinion on it. Someone that you trust, someone that the couple trusts, because some of these first drafts, man, they are questionable at best and just downright offensive.
Well, you said that, Sydney, no one's first draft is any good.
No, mine are terrible.
I was writing scripts all day today and they sucked.
That's not what a first draft is for.
No.
Right? But so many people see that they have words on a page and go, I've done it. I've nailed it. I don't need to look at this now until the night before the wedding, right? That's a whole separate issue, which we can sort of come on to about how to prepare in good time, right? But a few things that I think people fall into the trap of, particularly when it comes to wedding party speeches, are too much swearing. Nobody needs that. I mean, know your audience. There are a handful of weddings where a little bit can actually be quite witty and quite funny, sprinkled carefully and with comedic timing, but not effing and blinding like there is no tomorrow. remember there's a good chance that the couple's grandparents might be there. And just because you've seen them slut dropping in a club at, kind of 2:00 in the morning and you want to tell the whole room about that, it might not be for kind of grandma's ears. So there's also an element of reining in some of your stories and thinking, actually, what do the couple want me to say? Fundamentally, this is their wedding and it's an honor and a privilege that they've asked you to speak. I think some of the speeches that I see go really wrong or the first drafts that go badly come about because people think of it like a stand-up comedy routine.
Yes.
Right? Like, this is my moment. This is my chance to launch my stand-up comedy career.
No.
No, it isn't.
It's not, mate.
Especially because inevitably you're going to be talking about two people that you're supposed to have a lot of affection for and you're supposed to love and really care about. And if you treat it like a stand-up routine, you're going to end up making them your punchlines. They are not your punchlines. They are the guests of honor. They are the hosts. They are the couple. They are not there to be the punchlines to your jokes.
Yes, they're the reason.
Yeah, they are the whole point, okay? And to be really honest, I think a lot of the time, particularly the best men and groomsmen like to wind traditionally the bride, but also the groom up beforehand with, I'm going to say this and I'm going to say that. They might just take your speech away. They genuinely might, okay? And fair play to them in a way. So just be really mindful of who is in that audience and what the couple themselves want you to say.
Really good point. Really good point. What's one of the worst things that you've read or heard?
I knew you were going to ask me this.
Are you able to share?
I can give you a few different... Okay. Shall I? Okay.
Go.
So this is... This is quite a recent one. I worked with a couple earlier this year and I wrote vows for both of them, speeches for both of them. I wrote their best man's speech, all good, happy days, sorted, signed off maybe 3 weeks before. Everyone was happy. The week of the wedding rolls round. I send my usual, thinking of you guys this week. Hope you have an amazing time. Like, if you need anything, I'm here, put text messages to them.
Sure.
They were getting married on the Thursday, I believe. And on I think it was the Monday afternoon, I got a call from their wedding planner. Sydney, I need your help. So it's Monday afternoon that they get married Thursday lunchtime. The wedding planner had received an email from the maid of honor. The only person who was giving a speech that I had no time with, hadn't worked with, because she'd wanted to do it herself. And she'd received a copy of this maid of honor's speech. And it was a classic, here's your first draft, right? It was a classic, full to the brim of, here are the wild stories from when the bride and I were 15 years old and we went and got a tattoo, or we were in this, nightclub, or, we crashed this car, or like the wild days, right? That were not going to be safe for kind of grandma's ears by any stretch of the imagination. And also completely didn't mention the groom. No mention of, it's like he wasn't there. Not a single, just wasn't in it, right? But more than that, and I think this is one of my big tips, and one of the things that when I'm trying to amend a speech, I will try and pull out of you, is if you're going to tell a story, there has to be a purpose behind it. There has to be an end. Again, don't laugh because it sounds really obvious. But some of people just go, this is a fun story. And then they tell it and then they move on to the next thing. There was nothing pulled out of any of these other than, here's the facts of what happened. And so trying to pull out the meaning, trying to pull out the sentimental stuff, the cute stuff, the reason for telling it in the first place is crucial. But anyway, so she sent me over this first draft and said, I don't think we can let this kind of go ahead, because I'd already written the other speeches. I knew that this was going to be next to some really good quality speeches, right? I hate to, kind of toot my own horn, but it was going to sit next to 3 really good quality ones. And it was very graphic. There was a bit too much swearing in it. There wasn't a lot in there that I was like, we're going to keep this. But the bride and groom didn't know this yet. So the wedding planner made the call to email her back and say, thank you so much. The other people who have been giving speeches have worked with this really great girl called Sydney. This is what she does. Would you like to? And she came straight back. No, absolutely not. How dare you? She was furious, right? So yeah, but the wedding planner thankfully made the executive decision to let the groom in on what was going on. And I believe there was a conversation between the groom and the maid of honor to say,
Escalated.
You need to go and speak to Sydney. Yeah, exactly. Like very much, I'm going to tell like the kind of teacher on you vibe. And so she eventually came back to me and we met on the Tuesday morning. I had a Zoom call with her on the Tuesday morning. It was a bit frosty and a little bit,
No kidding.
Why are we doing this while I get ready for work? This is 48 hours before like the wedding.
Yeah.
And I met with her and I tried to pull out some of that genuine affection. But after half an hour's worth of us kind of nattering, it became very clear that she did really love the bride. And she also really loved the groom. And there was a lot of affection there. She just didn't know how to articulate it. And she didn't want to be cliche or cheesy because that was not the kind of wedding that this was. So she had gone as far down the opposite end of the spectrum as possible and had just gone joke 1000%. She'd overcompensated, right? It did not need to be quite as mean, but after that call she trusted me at least, and I was able to go away and rewrite bits of it, adjust bits of it, tweak it. It got the groom's approval and then hers, and then all was fine. But receiving that first draft 3 days before the wedding with the words, Sydney, I need your help from this wedding planner. Oh, and also, by the way, the speaker doesn't want your help, was quite a scary day.
Yeah. What a challenge. I can't believe you turned her around. That's amazing.
Neither can I. I had my doubts.
Against all odds.
I'll never know how much of that was me versus the groom essentially saying, unless you work with Sydney, you're not going to be doing a speech.
Do you know what? You need a bat signal. They can just put it in the sky and you go, oh, yeah.
I'm on my way. I'm on my way.
Yeah. Throw the cape on, you're off.
My pen and I are en route. I've also had, actually, quite recently, a speech that came to me that was a series of one-liners. So not even whole stories, just a series like, have you seen a Jimmy Carr stand-up show? It was just one-liner after one-liner after one-liner for 10 minutes, right? Incidentally, guys, 10 minutes is too long for any speech, let alone one that's just one-liner after one-liner after one-liner. So again, I was like, right, let's pick your favorite 3 of these, not 15 of these, and we'll, could build a whole speech out from there. But hopefully that could give you a flavour of some of the first drafts that I get.
I feel like a lot of people who get asked to do a speech or a toast, they like to make, bullet point notes just in their phone. And then they go, like you said, it's done.
I can't talk about phones, okay? If I see, guys, listen to me, please. If you take nothing else away from this, if you stand up there with a phone, that signals Sydney is going to come and rugby tackle you to the ground with it. I cannot see one more person stand up with a scruffy iPhone in a bright pink case, or even worse, with a crumpled up piece of A4 paper pulled from a pocket or the kind of bottom of like a bag.
Yeah, I like it when they pull it out of their bra.
Yeah, yeah, just adjust those tits and no. Honestly, it actually gives me shudders. I hate it so much. Get some speech cards, okay? Grow up and get some speech cards. Come on, enough is enough. I've seen it, okay? I've seen this too often. They look suave. They look great in the photos. Remember, again, the couple have spent a fortune on photography and styling and their decor and their flowers. They have curated, most of the time, every little detail of this whole day. So when you pull out a pucker pad ripped piece of A4 or a mobile phone from a back pocket somewhere, you ruin the whole photo. You ruin the moment. You ruin the atmosphere. Grow up and get some speech cards. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
Thank you.
I'm speaking for the people here. We hate them. Get rid of those mobile phones. Enough is enough. I've had it.
I see people like during their ceremonies just go, oh, can I have my phone? I've got my vows on the phone.
No, you don't. You, my friend, are not allowed to get married.
No.
Cancel it.
Your rights have just been revoked. Yeah.
Cancel it. Cancel the whole thing. We're doing it all again 6 weeks from now when you've learned how to pick up a pen. No, we are being mean. We are being mean. But genuinely, it's much easier to use. I don't know whether it doesn't take much, mate. It really doesn't.
And it makes all the difference.
It's also easier for you to read it when it's on a speech card and it's clearly printed or, kind of handwritten, because you should, hopefully, if you've, kind of done it right, you should then have segmented it into different sections.
Yes.
Where there are shifts in tone and pauses for laughter. It's a sign that you've prepped it and that you've cared about it and that you've poured love into this as a present for the couple. You haven't done it on the tube on the way there, which is what picking up your phone sounds like.
Yes, exactly. So I was going to ask you, my next question, Sydney, was what makes a truly memorable and meaningful wedding party speech? How do people get it right? What do you think the essentials are?
Ooh, it's a fun one. I think there are lots of ways to do it. I don't think there's one right way to do a good speech, whether that is a wedding party speech or any other kind of speech. But I think across the board, people can sense your intentions. They can feel when you've written it with love. And if you've written it with love and they can sense that you mean well, the whole room is going to be on your side. Okay. They are rooting for you. They want you to do just as well as you want to, Similarly, they can sense when you're trying to embarrass the couple. They can pick up on it very, very quickly, and then they won't be rooting for you. So starting from a place that is well-intentioned does make a world of difference. Practically speaking, there are all kinds of little tips. So try and find out in advance who else is going to be speaking and try and find out the order of those kind of speeches too. Because if you are just after a father of the bride and he's going to say thank you to XYZ person, or say he's going to welcome everybody to the space, right? You don't then also need to welcome everybody to the space. So it's very simply making sure that every speech that they hear is genuinely quite different. Again, if there's somebody that you trust, whether it is a wedding writer, whether it is your celebrant, whether it is a planner, whether it is a friend, that can have a look at all of the speeches and just cross-check them to make sure that you're not, giving the same stories or anything like that. That's always a kind of nice idea. I hope celebrants and wedding planners don't mind me volunteering them all for that. You're going to get some nice emails in. Why am I getting lots of requests for this?
Do you know what? I would rather help out and just be that, third party to get the through line, whether that's vows, whether that's speeches, whatever really, because
exactly
you need someone who knows enough about the wedding, but perhaps is not in it. And I think a celebrant is a perfect idea.
Yeah, I do too. And they also know the couple's story. So if there are big gaps that aren't actually being kind of covered, they might suggest them and say, oh, hang on a second, nobody's actually mentioned the proposal. Why don't you, sneak that in, or whatever it is that would be meaningful for them.
Yeah.
I think one of the first things that is nice to do when you first kind of stand up, introduce yourself. You don't need a big, long, lengthy thing, but mention like your name, for example. And then I think audiences, or guests, I should say, like to know that they're in safe hands. They want to know what to expect. And that comes with holding your speech cards, not being too drunk, holding the microphone in the right place, all of those things. But I think you can also indicate quite early on that you've got a plan. So you might say something like, I have 3 stories to share with you today. Or I'm going to talk about this, this, or this. Or the theme for my speech today is fate, or whatever it happens to be. So that they feel like you've prepared this. They feel like they're in safe hands and that there is a direction of travel. If you stand up and you're a little bit drunk and you're holding your phone and you go, for those of you who don't know me, my name is Scott, right? Hey, can we just ditch that line, guys? I'm over it.
Especially when you're introduced already.
We know who you are.
And here comes the maid of honour, Julie.
For those of you who don't know me, I'm Julie, the maid of honour. Yes, okay, we know, thank you.
You're taking moments of my life I'll never get back. Don't do that.
Actually, I would quite like my arancini ball or my...
Yeah, I need another wine.
So I think they appreciate there being a direction of travel. They like to know that you know what you're doing and that you're not about to go off on a 20-minute kind of tangent with no purpose or with no structure to it. There is a pretty basic structure that you can then follow if you're worried about a speech or if you would just like something. Like, I think sometimes people overcomplicate it. And they think that they have to do something really groundbreaking that's never been done at any wedding before. Spoiler alert, I don't think that's actually possible. I do have a basic structure that I can run you through that will just be a really safe bet of like, here's what I would recommend that you start with. And then once you've got that down, you can edit and tweak and kind of go from there.
That's great, because what I wanted to ask next then, Sydney, was about, it's hard enough for people who have a reasonable level of confidence to get up and speak, let alone those who are nervous about speaking. They're confronted by being asked. They start the cold sweats about 6 months out.
Yep.
Have you got any further advice for them to make them more comfortable?
Do you know, those are not necessarily the people I worry about, because those are the people that will have prepped. It's the people that go in thinking, piece of cake, I don't have to worry about this until the week of the wedding. Those people worry me. But for the nervous people, actually, by and large, they're pretty diligent. They want it to go well. So yes, absolutely. The first thing I would say is, if you are genuinely terrified and it will ruin your experience of the whole wedding day, which incidentally is not that uncommon, right? You can say no. I've never met a bride or a groom that would be genuinely angry or that would want you to suffer through it if it would be really awful for you. If that's just not the person that you are, you can always say no with love. I would recommend that you do it when they ask you, not like the day before the wedding, or, you can be respectful with the amount of warning that you give them, but you can always say no. If you do decide to do a speech, I think there are things you can do beforehand and then things on the day in the moment that can kind of help nerves.
Did you know that most newlyweds spend up to 8 hours of their precious time working through changing their last name after they get married? This is where easy name change comes in. Their kits provide you with a sort of shopping list of businesses, companies and government departments where you simply pick which ones you need to notify. They then send you detailed instructions on how to go about the name change process, because every business is different, and this saves you hours of calling around, waiting on hold, sending emails, waiting for a response, and then remembering to follow up when you don't hear back from them. Easy name change kits also provide ready-to-send forms, letters and emails, so you just attach your marriage certificate to them and you're done. Starting at $39, the value and time you get back is a no-brainer. For more help on changing your name after you get married, there is an excellent blog post on the Unbridely website, and I'll put a link in the show notes for you. Plus, Unbridely podcast listeners get a $6 discount on their name change kits by using the code Unbridely6. That's UNBRIDELY 6, the number 6, and this is valid until the end of 2025. Get your easy name change kits so you can move on to the fun parts of being grown-ups together, like holidays, getting a dog, building a house, herb gardens.
Beforehand, as we've kind of mentioned already, give yourself plenty of time to write your speech. I think it can work really well to 6 months before, just have a note in like your phone, which you're not going to take with you on the day, but as and when you think of different stories, as and when things kind of come to mind the next time that like you see them, just start to make some notes. Start to think about it well in advance, so that by the time it actually rolls around, you're really familiar with this and it feels like yours and you've got true ownership of it. Prep your cue cards again and practice using them. Use them to break your speech into sections, number them, highlight the, kind of key points, or work out where to leave space for laughter. Give yourself as much prep time as you possibly can. I really like it when people practice in short bursts, kind of little and often.
Okay.
So don't sit there a week before the wedding and spend 3 hours on it, just, for running it because you were scared. Do it once a day for a month. Do it just before bed. Little and often. So little and often works really, really well. Also, you would be amazed at how many people try and practice it in their heads rather than out loud. Sounds really obvious. Stand up straight.
What?
Yeah, they just read through it lots, but don't actually speak the words into the
Oh,
world.
God.
Yeah. The first time that you say it out loud should not be in front of everyone.
It shouldn't be a surprise to you and your tongue, you know?
Ooh, what's going on here?
Because words just, when they're written down, they are completely different to when you actually have to say them out loud.
Completely. When you say it out loud, that's when you will start to think about your breathing and the pacing and the jokes, and other ideas will emerge. You know, if you're just reading it from a page, you're never going to get to that. And then finally, I would also prep a backup copy. You will feel better knowing that there is a second copy somewhere on site, whether it's with a wedding planner, in a bag, with, you know, somebody else that like you trust, just in case.
Oh, yeah.
And then on the day itself, if you stand up and the world goes blank and, you know, you're shaking, let your first word be a breath. Okay. Exhale. It will slow everything down, your pace, your voice, your nerves, and it will allow you to refocus. Look at the couple. Look at someone that you trust. I actually think it is quite nice in advance to arrange with somebody and say, just so you know, if I get really frozen and I panic, I'm going to look at you. And your whole job is to be smiley and open and encouraging until I find my feet again, right? That's a nice way of including someone else, whether it is a partner or a friend or whoever. It might even be that you end up doing the whole speech just to them or getting kind of started with that.
I've got an idea. Like, you could look at that person, and if it gets to like 5 seconds, maybe they could just scream fire.
I'm not sure the caterers would be too happy about that.
No, they wouldn't.
When
like
everyone
it.
gets up and
I'm just like, how can someone bail them out? Do you know what? Seriously, I can't go to a comedy show. I can only watch comedy shows like on Netflix or something like that, because I can't sit in a room with someone who's trying to make something happen in real time. And if I see them flailing, or if I see them trying to search for a word, I can vomit on cue with like feeling someone else's, you know, degree of uncomfortability. Uncomfortability? It's not even a word. Yeah, it freaks me out.
yeah.
Okay, so they've taken a breath. They've looked at this person. The person's like,
You're all good. Exhale, you're fine.
have you got anything else for them?
If they still can't go, have a glass of water beside you.
Nice.
If you really panic, you can actually start from anywhere. You don't have to start at, good evening, everybody. You can kind of jump in a card in. Nobody knows what is on those cards except you. There aren't many places in a speech that you can't jump back to, and especially a well-written speech.
Say that again, Sydney. No one else knows what is on that card.
No, of course they don't. No one has any idea if you've missed a line or a joke or whatever it is. Just jump back into the bit that you know next and that you feel kind of safest with. If your whole speech is, hello, my name is, thank you so much for this, and maybe one story and then a bit of advice for like the couple and then a toast. If you've missed half a speech and there are other bits in there, nobody knows. That is a very good speech. If anything, they'll be grateful that they can get to their starters a bit sooner, right? So please don't feel like you've got to get every single word right. Nobody else has any idea, okay?
Oh, so good.
Speak slower than feels natural, okay? Like the adrenaline will speed you up. Slow it down, especially for the first few minutes.
Yeah.
Oh, and I love a strategic pause. I love a strategic pause. When something is meant to be funny, but also when something is really heartfelt or has an emotional kind of landing, take a pause. And I have absolutely seen before people put an emotional pause in where there wasn't supposed to be one because they just need a minute. And people roll with it. People always go, do you know what? That is a really good, yeah, absolutely, yes. Wasn't planned, wasn't meant to be there. People will roll with it, I promise you. And then finally, don't apologize or explain. If you stumble, take a breath, jump straight back in. The thing that will derail you fastest is if you're going, I'm so sorry, or, oh no, I have, could miss this bit, or you're, scrambling for it. If you look calm on the outside, you will start to feel calm. So just sail through it, carry on, you'll be absolutely fine.
So good. Really good, Sydney.
Thank you. I do actually have a guide that I send out to all of my kind of clients on exactly this and the kind of nervousness of it, which if anybody is listening and would, like it, just, kind of drop me an Instagram message and I'd be happy to share it, because there's nothing sadder than a speech that somebody spent weeks and months and money and their time getting right, to then feel so nervous that you don't enjoy it. You are supposed to enjoy it. Weddings are supposed to be fun, okay? And I do believe that if you've got a well-written speech, that you know it well and you are relaxed, you will have a good time, no matter how nervous you are in the kind of lead up. So yeah, give me a shout if you would like a copy of that.
DM Sydney.
Give me a shout.
I will make sure to put Sydney's Instagram for Altar and Toast in the show notes. And so you'll be able to just, jump on there, follow her, send her a DM, and she'll take care of your nerves for you. This is great. We've seen all the things that we don't want to do. We know how to make this memorable, and, we know what the goal is, to make it memorable and lovely and meaningful. We know how to fix ourselves if we're nervous, because we'll just DM you. But how can a speaker personalise their speeches? You said before, Sydney, that a lot of people come to you for advice on their speeches and toasts, and they just go, I want to reinvent the wheel. I want to do something really exciting. And they think that that's the way to personalise their toast. But I'm sure you've got another point of view about how to make sure that the couple's unique story is related and still make it enjoyable for the guests. Because as you mentioned as well, a one-liner every 5 seconds doesn't tell a story, and there needs to be a purpose, right?
Completely. Do you know, if I could read you my own wedding speech, I would love to, because I got this wrong. I got this wrong on my own wedding day. I did not really tell stories. I just thanked lots of people in beautiful ways, but it was essentially a series of thank yous and then lots of nice things about my now husband. I didn't tell stories, and my speech was weaker for it. Don't ask me for any of the kind of science on this, but I believe that when people hear a story, it's a different part of their brain that receives it and that processes it. You don't need many of them. And there's a very fine line between a story that you let people in on and an inside joke, which we can also talk about. But stories will be the bedrock of any really personal speech, because by nature, nobody else has them. A couple of points about stories. Firstly, as we said earlier, please cross-check to make sure that other people aren't going to give the same stories. And again, if there's a way of checking that those particular stories aren't being used elsewhere as a part of their ceremony or like their vows or something like that, please do. But 2 or 3 really detailed, thorough, wittily delivered stories that end with, how do I say this? Once you've told a story, the final point of that needs to be the reason that you told it. So I'm going to tell you a story about the groom. This is what happened on our first, encounter. This is how they behave. This is what we got up to. This is what that behavior says about him as a man.
Yes. This is what it illustrates.
Yeah. This is why it is here, is because he is a fundamentally brilliant person. And I understand why so-and-so has fallen madly in love with him. Or the first time I met the partner, or the first time that XYZ mentioned this other person after they'd been on a 3rd or 4th date, for example. The joy in their eyes did XYZ, and this is how I felt about it. The reason I am telling you that is because it underlines something about their relationship or about them as people. It's not about a series of stories that make you look good or even really make them look good. They don't have to look good, but there has to be a point about them as people, their actual character. The other really safe bet, in addition to stories, is some kind of advice. Now, this depends a little bit on your own circumstances, but if you've been married for years and years and years, awesome. Please do not, guys, if I hear one more person go down the route of happy wife, happy life.
Oh, shit.
Remember, she's always right.
Oh, my God.
Piss off. Honestly, go away. I can't be doing it. I can't do it.
It shits me to tears.
It's painful, isn't it? And you can feel the whole room go, okay, great. When's dinner? Or can I have some more champagne? Thank you.
Fill this up. Yes.
You can just leave like the...
Yeah, leave the bottle. This is not getting better.
I'm going to need a bottle and a straw, please.
No, don't give me a straw or slow me down.
Again, we are being mean. But yeah, so... I've completely lost my train of thought.
Sorry, mate. So, yeah, you were...
Advice.
Yes,
so
yes.
If you are in a long-term relationship, or if you have been already married, is there any genuinely insightful things that you have learned about marriage or about working as a team or about any of those things that you want to pass on that are not the cliche, that are not kind of stereotypical or a little bit sexist or anything like that, right? I don't think that's the time for the jokes. I think that is the heartfelt part, personally. The jokes come naturally if you tell the stories in a witty way, right? You don't need to make actual jokes. But with the advice, even if you're not married, it's likely that you know one of the couple more than the other. You know, I went to school with the bride. As her new husband, here's what advice I would give you about when she is X, Y, or Z. Yeah, that's a way to bring in some humor and some advice. Because the idea is that these are your parting words to them as they set off on this new phase of life together. So a welcome, a brief hello, some cleverly written, well-delivered, funny stories that lead to purposes and points about them as people and their kind of characters, a little bit of advice about marriage or about those individuals, and a loving toast. End on a beautiful toast. And my favorite thing to do with a toast is to call back to something that you said earlier.
Yes, the callback. That's great.
Yeah. If you can repeat a metaphor or a joke or a phrase from earlier that you can now reuse in a kind of slightly different way, everybody will go, "Aww," which is ultimately the goal, right? Like, you want everyone to laugh and to go, "Aw," and that will get you your "aw" quite neatly, I think.
I love it. Relatable, enjoyable, and yeah, I won't be completely drunk at the end. That's good. That's really good.
You can be kind of drunk. It's okay. As long as you're not going to be speaking, that's okay.
It's just the type of speeches that you hear. Just for those of you who don't know me, what about, don't the bridesmaids look so beautiful? Yeah, they do.
I like the sentiment. We can immediately do something a lot better. Something like, the bridesmaids, you all look incredible. I would have been lucky to marry any one of you. Just gets a laugh, right?
Yes.
Gets a laugh. You can absolutely say how beautiful they all look, but not in the way that everybody else does. Similarly, you look incredible, but of course, XYZ has completely stolen the show, as we all knew that, like, she would. As long as you're talking about your new spouse there, not some random other guest.
But you guessed there at table 5.
But you,
man, you
win. Here is my phone number. No.
Maybe not. But yeah, there's just so many cliches.
The only person I think that can get away with, for those of you who don't know me, is the bride.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, there you go. Again, subvert it. You can absolutely use them, but in a clever way. Don't use them the way that everybody else does. And if your speech has come from Pinterest or it has come from an online, kind of template, it will be full of these and it will not be great as a result.
That's really clever, Sydney. If we're trying to go for tasteful, we're going for positive, we're avoiding the trend of roasting because it's not someone's 21st.
No.
I'm making an assumption there that you're not getting married on your 21st birthday, but yeah.
Even if you are, still don't roast each other.
Even if you are. Just for me, like the roasting part, doesn't that come, at the hen's party or the buck's party or do it then.
But on the same topic, I don't think there should be a hen or a stag do reference in the speech.
If I had pearls, I'd
this might be
them.
Controversial. You can absolutely reference that it happened, but I think those are private stories. But again, the way that you get around it is along the lines of, I'm not going to tell you the ins and outs of what we got up to, but maybe at the bar later, if you're, extra kind of nice to me, I might share a few of them with you. Just to, again, you can absolutely make reference that it happened and that it was fun, particularly if you were the one who organised it. And it makes it feel a little bit naughty. I think sometimes people want their speech to feel naughty. They want to feel like they've, kind of pushed like the kind of boundaries.
Yeah, well, they're looking for edgy, aren't they? That's why they're roasting.
Yeah, exactly. There are better ways to do that than to upset, like the great auntie so-and-so who, has
just flown in from Italy.
Yeah, no, let's not upset her. But you can absolutely threaten to reveal all to anybody at like the bar after.
I like the creativity. I like the blackmail creativity.
Thank you.
It's good. It's good. It has people laughing rather than just going,
oh. Yeah. You really don't want anyone to have their head in their hands at any moment.
It's not good feedback.
Yeah.
You're not looking for that. So we're avoiding roasting, making jokes at the couple's expense by, just insinuating things but not spelling them out, not, coming up with all the, the dirt from the past. Yeah, you can sort of hint at that stuff, can't you?
The other one that I take out of speeches a fair bit is money chat. This often comes up with groom speeches too, but, anything about like, hope they signed a prenup or, your plate cost X amount of money. Again, sounds like it's obvious. You would be amazed how many people, they are just cheap jokes, okay? They are cheap ways to make it feel edgy or unfiltered. But again, they are distasteful and they are at the expense of the couple who love you. As I've said it already, if you take nothing else away, that couple are the guests of honor. They are not your punchlines. They are not there to make you look good. This speech is a gift to them and you should treat it as such.
Oh, that's good. That's really good. Your speech is a gift to them.
That will allow you, when you're actually writing it, to reframe it and say, what did they want me to say? What traits about them and their new spouse would they like me to mention?
Yes.
What are the stories that they would be sad if I forgot? Think back through all of that and think, actually, what are they anticipating? And give them that as a present. This isn't going to be, the audio of this isn't going to be over your own wedding video. It's their wedding video.
Yes.
Right? They're going to show this to their, kind of great, grandkids one day.
Well, as long as you've eased up on the profanity, yeah.
Yeah. And so this isn't for you. This isn't for you. This is for them.
Yeah. And honestly, in this day and age, if you really think it's your stage and your moment to shine, like just record something on your phone and go viral on, social media the week after.
Yeah.
It's not the time. It's just not the time.
We can do better.
Yeah, so much better. So, you've given us so much, Sydney. This is really good.
Is that helpful?
Like really juicy. Have you got any last thoughts for those maid of honour, matron of honour, bridesmaids, groomsmen, whatever they are, wedding party members who are asked to do a speech? Any final parting thoughts?
Don't drink too much.
Yes.
You can put so much effort in, so much work in, you can prep it. And whether that is through nerves or just because you get carried away, don't drink too much beforehand. You need a glass to be able to toast with. And if it's already empty because you've been, downing like the fizz because you're super nervous, it won't be a very good speech. And actually, you want it to be remembered for the right reasons. And if it's remembered for all of the profanity and all of the stories that are going to upset, mum and dad, or nobody's looking back on that with fondness. What they will remember is that it's sincere and that it's heartfelt and that it's loving. And it doesn't have to be showy. It doesn't have to be really kind of cleverly written. It just has to be short, sweet, and sincere. And also good luck. Enjoy it.
Absolutely brilliant, Sydney. So lovely to meet you and have a chat about these things. Feel like we're very much on the same page with our beliefs, which is always nice. But if someone is looking for an amazing, voice message to play to their future spouse before they come down the aisle, they're looking for vows, if they're looking for toasts, everything else that you write, where should people find you?
Of course. So I'm over on Instagram on Alter and Toast, or over on my website, alterandtoast.co.uk. As I say, I am in the UK, but I do work with couples from all over the world. I actually have my first Australian wedding this November. I'm very excited about that one. Yeah. So I'd love to do some more. So give me a shout. And if you do any speeches that are based on the kind of tips in this, let me know. I would love to see them. I would absolutely love to have a nosy at them. I'm always over on Instagram answering good questions too. So give me a shout if there's anything here that you haven't understood or that you want any more information about.
Just a wealth of information and positivity. Bloody love it.
I try.
Love
but
it.
if I see any of you with a mobile phone, like any of you, I'm picking
She'll
up.
jump on a plane and come on down.
Rugby tackle that microphone out of your hand.
Yeah. Who's that coming through the crowd? Oh my God, it's Sydney. Yeah.
I'll do it. I will do it. Take some speech cards. There you go.
Mate.
Thank you so much, though.
We can do better. I love that concept.
Of course we can. And I think people often underestimate the amount of work and time and effort and money that have gone into every other aspect of any wedding, right? No matter the scale, no matter where in like the world it is, like the amount of love that has gone into every single second. And that couple are trusting you with a 5-minute slot. Don't ruin it. Don't undermine all the intentionality and the care that has been poured into it. Don't ruin it with your 5-minute slot just for your own ego. Treat it with love, look after the couple, and have a really, really, really good time.
Perfection, mate. You've got to run off to a friend's 30th?
I do, yeah. We're off out to the countryside for a kind of long weekend, but there will be no stories. There will be no stories about it when she finally gets married, because they will be very private stories.
What happens in the countryside stays in the countryside.
I'm off to Wiltshire for anyone that might know where that is.
Okay.
I realise none of your listeners will have a clue, will they?
Well, no, that's not entirely true, because after the US and Australia, the UK are my third biggest listener base. So there will be some people go, oh, yes, tally ho.
Very cool.
I know where that is.
Oh, also, a bit of a personal one here.
Yeah.
We are off to Australia for 3 weeks at the end of the year. If anyone has any recommendations of places to go and things to see, we're doing Sydney, we're driving up Port Macquarie, Byron, up the kind of Sunshine Coast, up to Noosa, inland. So if anyone has any recommendations, please can you DM me? Because we're at the stage where we're, booking, restaurant reservations and activities. So yeah, hit me up, guys.
You'll be inundated.
I'm so excited.
But what's your vibe? I mean, are you going for restaurants, beaches? Do you hike?
I'm not an adventurer. I mean, my husband would like a couple of hikes perhaps, but I'm a beachy, good food, good cocktails. This is actually our very belated honeymoon.
Oh my gosh.
So anything that looks fun, but also we want to meet people. We want to, get to know the best spots that the locals are in. Do you know what I mean? So much of what is on the internet is very here's where every kind of tourist goes. I'm like, no, I want to know where the best, the locals are for things. So let me know.
Okay. So all my Sydney siders, Central Coast, all those guys up in Queensland,
Yes,
a little
please.
bit south. Help Sydney plan her very belated honeymoon.
In exchange for my dealing with nerves guide, I would like a recommendation, please.
This is great. Contra.
Trading. I like it. Anyway, thank you so much, Camille.
Beautiful, mate. Look, I'll leave you to your lovely afternoon, and thank you so much for your time.
Not at all.
Cheers, mate. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
That about wraps it up for this episode of the Unbridely podcast. For the links and resources we mentioned, please head to the show notes. And if you love the show, please review and subscribe on the podcast platform you're on now so you don't miss out on a single episode. Thanks so much for listening. And remember, weddings are a team sport. Catch you soon.